they start chiropractic care because they felt understood, right? So in that first interaction, in those first day one, day two, what we teach is exactly how to create that empathetic connection so that you can give them direction. In other words, this is what you need to do to get what you want.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
There's a subject matter that we always come back to in chiropractic. It's a topic that has been with us from the beginning, and I believe it'll be something we continue to revisit moving forward because it's truly a leadership, a vision, a systems, a process, a team, and energy. It's the whole Rubik's Cube. It's all of it. And that subject matter is retention. And today is really a topic we want to dig deep into with you, a conversation really that we want to have around retention specifically. And you know, the episode here is really about retention as a business model, and retention is the business model. And there's a lot in there that we want to be able to unpack with you today. I just want to give a quick shout out to our awesome podcast listeners. As we begin this episode, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope and pray that this podcast is a support to you. It's an encouragement. It provides some direction, some challenge, some insights. We are on a mission here at the Remarkable Practice and the Remarkable CEO to help as many chiropractors experience and create a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life and not instead of one. That's a mission that we're on. And so we hope that this podcast helps you achieve that and accomplish that. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a first-time listener or you're new to the show, welcome. We're so thankful to be journeying with you. And today we're going to be digging into a subject matter that I believe is important to you. I know it's important to me. It's important to everyone I get to talk to, and that is retention.
Yeah, Pete, there's lots of ways to be successful in chiropractic. And there's lots of ways to be successful in business, right? There's lots of different business models, right? So this one is really near and dear to my heart when we talk about retention, because retention as a business model, in my opinion, is the ultimate win-win-win, right? So it is the win for the patient. It is the win for the chiropractic office, the business itself, and it's a win for the chiropractor and their team, right? So we know that, the truth of it is there's lots of ways to practice, right? So I don't want to infringe on anybody's philosophy, or I don't want to force my philosophy on anybody. But the fact of the matter is I think as chiropractors, we should look at the way we consume chiropractic in our lives and in our families' lives. So I know you're like me, Pete, and that you take care of yourself and your family regularly, right? So you and I adjust each other whenever chance we get, which is true for every other chiropractor. But I'm sure that you're like me and that you've got a regular chiropractic adjustment that you get. My wife happens to be an awesome chiropractor. My workout partner and one of my best friends is an awesome chiropractor who's with me 5 times a week. Almost all of my friends are chiropractors, 7 chiropractors in my family. I'm always within arm's reach of a great chiropractor, right? That's called strategic living. Why? Because I want to stay healthy. I want to optimize my personal experience in this world, right? I know that chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings. It's not limited to this short-term treatment modality for a crisis or an injury, or, although we love to take care of people that have been injured or their health has gone sideways, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I adjust my kids regularly. I've raised them under regular chiropractic care. My wife and I have been adjusting our kids and checking them since the day they were born, much like you and your family. So that just made sense that we bring that truth to our community and built a business around it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just even hearing you, like chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings. I mean, that right there, that is a stake in the ground, right? And so imagine you started your business that way. So again, like you said, there's different ways to practice chiropractic. There's different models to chiropractic. And, our goal today on this episode is to shed some light on the practice model, Doc, that you I built, that we are supporting so many of our amazing, remarkable chiropractors and CEOs in what they're building. And again, what I think, Doc, here applies though is the disciplines and the truths that apply to creating a win-win-win. No matter what your business model is, that should be your intention, right? Your goal should be that your client, your customer, whatever the model is, they win, your team wins, and you win, and the business wins. So the goal is that win-win-win should apply regardless of what we're talking about, which today is retention. When I think about your business, if we came in and we airdropped in and we analyzed your business and how you run your business and your team and how you run your systems and your processes and your policies and all of these things, we should be able to look and say, wow, this is win-win-win, right? So that would be the ultimate goal. So that's really the deep part of this conversation. Is it's about creating that congruent business model, congruent with you, right? Your vision and your values, right? We talk about the 4 rights. The first one being, getting the right person. And the right person shares 2 things in common. Number 1, they share your core values. Number 2 is they're compelled and they buy into the vision. The vision is the story, which is the vision says, what does success look like to us? And so in order for us to achieve our vision, let's say the vision is to have a retention practice filled with families, right? Who have made chiropractic a success strategy for their healthy way of living. So in order for us to achieve that vision, because it's a cool statement, it's another thing to actually achieve it, right? Is we have to have a path to get there. There has to be a model in place. There has to be a system and a process and all those things in place, which we like to call the remarkable system. It's a system because it helps you get there, right, to that end zone. And repeatedly do it over and over and over again. So I know that, Doc, you have the wellness club was something that people got to be a part of in your practice. We had lifestyle membership programs, right? So it's the same idea. Like we made it to this wellness club. We're in the wellness club. So let's go with the wellness club conversation right now. That's the ultimate goal, is that people would make it, no matter how you approached our business, no matter what tributary you came in from, no matter what your reasons why, once you got here, the goal was that eventually you're going to make it, you could be a part of the wellness club. You'll be in that family. And
so let's double click on that concept of the vision, right? So the vision was, I want to see as many families as possible make a paradigm shift that will change their health outcomes forever, for their whole life, right? So it wasn't just like, I want to dabble in chiropractic, I'm going to try chiropractic, I go to a chiropractor when I need one, that kind of mentality. It was like, the vision was to create a place where people could find a better way to better health and better health outcomes. The methodology, the process was a retention-based practice. And how did we arrive at that? Let's wrestle it to the ground right now. Because this is, as a pugilist in this space, I love to wrestle this one right to the ground, right? So number 1, here's what we know. The longer you stay sick, the sicker you get. We all know that's a truth, right? So conversely, the longer somebody stays healthy, the healthier they get, right? So we should be trying to set up environments where we're trying to optimize people's experience, optimize their health and life expression. So we want to be able to be their chiropractor regularly over their lifetime. Now, I'm going to ask everybody to, just for a minute, no matter where you are in your philosophy, surrender for just a moment some of the limitations, the limiting beliefs you have right now around what you think I just said. Now, you got to see your patients 3 times a week forever, whatever it is. Just let go of any of those, because we haven't talked about any of those things like visit frequency or what that means or what it looks like. All I'm saying is that somebody has chiropractic care in their life regularly over their lifetime. That's what I said. So, whether you're the person that sees your patients 3 times a week, or you're like a lot of our upper cervical specific docs that are like, you know what, my goal is to get them to where I check them every 6 months and it's, oh, nope, you're clear. And, come back in 6 months, whatever, man, those guys are much better than I am. But you have to land in the space where it's like, ultimately our role in their life is to keep their nerve system clear. So whatever you do clinically, so whatever your objective criteria around for what does it mean for a patient to be clear, I want to be respectful of all approaches and techniques to this. But ultimately, if we agree on the goal is to clear the nervous system and keep this person's body talking to their brain, brain talking to their body, whatever that means to you. So we want to do that for as long of a time as possible across a person's lifetime. That's the objective. So the win for the patient is the longer they stay subluxation free and their nervous system's clear, the longer they stay healthier and the healthier they get. So it's a big win. It's the clinical outcomes for the patient. The second one, it's the win for the practice. When you think about the practice as a business, as you create ideal patients who understand what I just said and leverage chiropractic as a lifestyle success strategy. So it's like part of their lifestyle, like their diet style, their sleep patterns, their workouts. This is built into their lifestyle. Okay. When you create ideal patients and collect ideal patients, it's the best business model in the world, right? So we all know how expensive it is to go and try to find new patients all the time. And if you're churning through patients in your community and, kind of seeing them discontinue and spit out the back long before they've optimized their health, long before they've even had an idea that they could actually protect their level of health and maintain it or optimize it through wellness care. That's a very expensive way and a very stressful way to run a business, right? And then the third win in this is it's fulfillment for you as the doctor and for your team. Look, we all know that we're disappointed when people don't start care, right? But don't you hate it when they discontinue care, when they don't follow through with recommendations for care, when they were part of the family, you had them in the house, right? You were influencing them, right? So you had an opportunity to share the truth with this person, create value through patient education, deliver value through the adjustment process itself and the education process, add value by changing their health trajectory, and then capture value by getting paid for the awesome service of love that you deliver in the community, right? So this is the perfect win-win-win.
Okay, let's take a quick break and talk about Chiro Match Makers.
Chiro Match Makers will help you find the right person for the job. If you're looking to hire the ideal chiropractic assistant, Chiro Match Makers will help you find the specific person missing from your team so that you can get back to using your talents to serve more people. Or if you're looking to hire the ideal associate doctor, CMM can help. Chiro Match Makers helps chiropractors like you find the ideal associate doctor to unlock your practice potential and get you the freedom that you desire. To learn more, go to chiromatchmakers.com.
And now let's jump right back into our conversation. I love the statement that, people start chiropractic because they feel understood, and they stay under chiropractic because they understand. One of the things that we talk about in the Remarkable Practice as we go through what we call the 4 domains of your practice, which attraction, conversion, retention, and then your team are the 4 domains. And we have identified that as a client, a patient comes into your office, that they come in through attraction of some sort, and they come in as a seeker of sorts, right? Just like, you go anywhere to any location, any store, they call it a restaurant, you're seeking a sustenance, you're seeking a burger or a beer or a salad or whatever, right? So you're a seeker, you come in, and our goal then is to take them through on a journey, through a process where they can become an understander. And the actual doorway to get there actually begins with the connection that we establish at the beginning, which is that person would actually feel like you understand them. And what I love about the retention model is it's so human. It's so compassionate, really. Again, based on the philosophy and the conviction that you have and I have, it was and is the most congruent message that we could teach. However, there are a lot of challenges to that becoming the reality, right? Because I believe this is best for the human being, meaning the win number one, the patient wins. Because I believe that is best for them, doesn't mean necessarily it's going to happen. Doesn't mean they're going to get it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. And so there has to be an actual system and a process that supports this journey. And that's what the system is designed to do. The system is designed to actually take somebody from being a seeker. They could have had no chiropractic previous experience or lots of different experiences in chiropractic, no matter what the story has been or is, to have them be able to come and encounter your business, to come into an experience and a model where we meet you where you are. Meeting you where you're at means I'm understanding you. We call it an empathetic connection, right? And that's what we talk about at the day one. The first moment that we meet with somebody really determines the trajectory and the course that they're going to end up on. And it's so grand. And we're not going to get into obviously that in a podcast today, but the reality is that one of the first things that you need to do and that we can do, and we can all grow in this area, is actually understanding people where they're at. And I think we covered this in one of our previous episodes, which was the ability to say to a patient, I don't know, but what I do know is. And so our ability to meet someone where they're at is actually a willingness to go into their story, right? To learn their story, to find out where their story is, so that they can, at one point, learn our story and hear our story and be able to understand our story. And that story would be what your vision is of success, your vision of what chiropractic exists for.
Yeah.
And, we're having a business conversation here. So this is business.
So let's keep it in this framework, because you know what, I know the CEOs listening on the line right now, they're like you and I, they love structure, right? Yeah. So this is a business conversation. It's taking our philosophy and this is manifesting your philosophy in your business, right? So this is what's called applied philosophy, right? So when you're applying your philosophy to your business model, you act like a business person. So right. let's do a mini MBA course on this, right? So there's an ascension that every consumer will go through that walks in your front door. Can I call them consumers? Because we're in the business of saving lives, right? So we look at each person that's in the marketplace, right? In the healthcare marketplace, they're out there and they are a seeker and they're looking for a solution to the problem they think they have, right? So if you're talking about marketing, you're talking about generating leads, you have to be thinking like your consumer. You have to be thinking like the layperson. You have to be thinking about the prospect, the lead, the potential new patient, the patient. Those are all that's your consumer, right? So when you're thinking about the marketplace, you're thinking about a bunch of human beings that are out there in this confused and crowded marketplace, right? And they're lost and they're seeking a solution, right? The purpose of a business is to solve a problem for another human being. The purpose of a business is to add value to another human being by solving a problem for that human being. That's the purpose of a business. So you have a seeker who's looking for a solution to the problem, okay? So when you're speaking out into that public and you're trying to generate a lead so you can tell them the truth and show them the way, you have to be thinking about what's going on in their head right now. And the conversation they're having in their head as a seeker is, can you help me solve the problem I think I have? You have to be aware of what do they think their problem is and what's the solution that they're looking for. So you have to be communicating that way. And they come into your office and they transition, they go through this ascension. Once you've gone through this process that you're referring to, which is your conversion process, the first step of the conversion process is they have got to find connection, right? So they have got to find an empathetic connection. In other words, they feel like somebody heard them. Right? Like you just said, people don't start chiropractic care because they understood chiropractic. They start chiropractic care because they felt understood, right? So in that first interaction, in those first day one, day two, what we teach is exactly how to create that empathetic connection so that you can give them direction. In other words, this is what you need to do to get what you want, right? Because that's all anybody wants. They want connection, then direction. That's called our conversion process. Maybe that's an episode for a different day. Now, they've gone from seeker to their second stage in their ascension, which is they are now a believer, okay? They are a believer, okay? We call them a believer because they don't understand anything. They believe you, okay? They believe they're in the right place. They believe you're going to be able to help them get what they want. That's it. They believe you, okay? Now, you have to recognize the conversation that's going on in their head right now, which is, I don't understand you, but I believe you. So I'm now following you, right? So this person at this point, our job with that person is to take them from a believer to an understander, right? Because you don't have to believe in chiropractic. Dr. Pete, you and I, it's been a long time since we believed in chiropractic. We understand chiropractic. You don't have to believe in chiropractic. You can understand chiropractic. So we recognize that in the conversion process, conversion's emotional. So we do not want to interfere with the emotional decision to take action. Let them stay in the believer story. Let them stay in their story, stay in their heart. That's where the activation energy lives for them to start care. Don't layer on all of the factoids, everything they never wanted to know about chiropractic. It'll just interfere with the conversion process. Once they convert, they're a believer. Immediately, our job is, let's take that believer and turn them into an understander. Okay. And the understander, you know what? This understander, once they understand chiropractic care, that's why they'll stay under care, right? So you start chiropractic care because of the way you feel. You stay under chiropractic because of what you know, right? So that's the key to retention, is taking that believer and turning them into an understander, right? So what do they need to understand? We call it the dirty dozen. 12 things everybody needs to know, and they'll never leave you. Of course, that's outside of the scope of this conversation. Maybe that's a different episode, but there's 12 things everybody needs to know, and they'll never leave you. Now, the question is where do you teach them those 12 things? That is the retention process. And that process is the business model. Okay. So there's 3 stages to that process. The early stage, which is setting expectations and agreements and pre-framing and setting people up beginning with the end in mind around retention so that retention makes sense. The second phase is about creating education around a paradigm shift. It's table talk, progress reports, and your workshop. And then the third stage of this, of course, is the re-examination, re-report, and recommitments. There's 3 stages to retention, and it's a process and it's a business model.
And it's an absolute, just glorious model to master and to execute. It's incredible to see it in motion, to see it happening and experience it happening. And, the way that, you have to look at this as well from a business perspective is really you have 2 businesses. You have your business that's your, front end business, which is turning your, the conversion process through their initial process of going to becoming understanders. Then you have your business full of understanders. So, when I look at my KPIs, when I look at my business, I look at it, I have really two practices within the practice. I have my practice, which is full of my retention people, which has all of its own measurements and KPIs, and has all of its own conversation that need to be happening, and it needs to be managed in such a way. And then you have your practice, which is your front end practice, which is, all of the new people that are coming in that are journeying through the process of going through being converted into care and then starting under care and then going through this process that you just talked about, the 3 stages of retention, to get to the point where when you get to that, what we would call the re-examination, and they're faced with a decision, that they would be able to make the decision, which would be to choose to continue to make chiropractic a part of a success strategy for healthy human beings, right? So that's the goal, is that would happen, right? So what you just talked about was, so creating that model where in the business, you've got a business that actually does that first stage really, really well. And that would then graduate them into next stage, which is more of the wellness business and the wellness, or what we would call the retention side of the business, where that is happening and that happens really well. And so what I got really excited about in practice is when I started to be able to look at my business from, I've really got 2 businesses. I've got my new business, and then I've got my existing business. And so I was this one I could only really take so many, right? But this one I could continue to see grow and grow and grow. And that's why when you talk about, I think you said it earlier in this podcast, what, the retention business is the best, business model, right? Because it in the world, you said, I think in the world, it's like the best business model in the world. Why? Well, because think about how, and again, you talk about customer service and the cost of acquisition versus cost of retention, ROI, all these types of, we talk financial, 100%. But when this is in alignment with your vision and your values and your mission and your purpose, then it would be an issue if you didn't have a growing retention practice. It would be an issue if I came and analyzed your metrics and your numbers and your retention and your business and total active patients and people that are under care and your PVA. If these things this doesn't continue to stack and grow and grow and grow, and you have to work on figuring out a better way to manage all of these increasing lifetime people, then we've got an issue. So that would be an issue that we would need to solve, right? And I think that's what happens in chiropractic, is that we have the front end and we're good at maybe attracting new people and we're decent at converting them. But when it comes to retaining, it's like, I don't really know what happens, but we continue to front load and our practice is kind of just we're kind of just cruising along, right about this volume, right about this revenue, and we're just kind of there. And the reason why is because this back door is wide open and the side doors are wide open and people are just it's hemorrhaging.
And the apples are falling off the apple cart. And, it's such a stressful way to practice, as you have like every month you got to feed the machine. It's like, oh my gosh, where are we going to find another 20, 40, 80, 100 new patients through the front door because we've got as many people falling out the back door. And you see that over and over and over again. What a stressful and unproductive and frankly, I think just off purpose, off mission way to run your practice versus the retention model, which is it's the ultimate win-win-win. We know that it's a win for the patient. I mean, we get to watch it with our patients. I'm, 25 years as a chiropractor, 23 years in the trenches working with these families, watching families grow up inside of that model and watching the glorious life and just the significantly divergent health outcomes we see of families who stay under regular chiropractic care versus those that don't, right? The paradigm shift that happens for those families, raising your children in that environment. Man, what a huge win for them and the patient outcomes, the health outcomes, which is, man, isn't that what we're doing in the first place? Isn't that why we're in this business, right? The second win for the practice, I mean, we enjoyed a PVA, a patient visit average of over 300 visits for more than 15 years. When you think about that, that means that the average person that started with us stayed for over 300 visits. And I'm not bragging about that. I'm not saying that to impress you, but to impress upon you what's possible when you embrace this model as a system and you see what can happen, because now we have the fulfillment of seeing so many. We have hundreds of chiropractors, hundreds of practices, thousands of practices around the world who are practicing the TRP system. They've created these retention-driven, purpose-driven practices, and we see these patient visit average numbers doubling, which typically when you double your patient visit average, you triple your profitability, right? So ultimately, we have the triple win-win-win we're experiencing ourselves. This is not just a good idea, it's totally proven. Listen, this system is learnable. And we love to teach it, right? So if this resonates with you, Doc, and you'd like to close your side doors, close your back doors, and start creating and collecting ideal patients, we'd love to show you exactly how to do it. There'll be no guesswork for you at all. This is a step-by-step process. Every single step, every single process, procedure, script, everything you would need, we can teach exactly how to do this. If you're interested in learning more about it, our next immersion is the retention immersion. It's the remarkable retention immersion. It's coming up in October of 2020, October 23 and 24 for our North American audience. We have a retention immersion coming up for our Aussies and those in New Zealand and Australasia. That's coming up in November. But the next one is right in October 23rd and 24th. There's a link down here below if you want to click that link to learn more. We'd love to have you there. We'd love to have you attend this incredible immersion. We will teach you all three phases of this retention process, how to do it on the front end, to learn how to pre-frame it, how to set expectations and agreements and set people up where it just becomes automatic that they embrace regular chiropractic care as a success strategy. And then the middle phase, which is patient education, how to take that believer, turn them into an understander. It's about table talk. It's progress report. It's about the workshop. And then finally, that third and last part of the retention process, which of course is the re-examination, the re-report, and the reconversion to care and future care. So gang, we'd love to teach you that. We'd love to make sure that you were experiencing a win-win-win in your community. Click the link below. We'll see you at the retention immersion.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.